The screen fades in on a dimly lit apartment, rain pattering against the window. A tired man in his mid-30s sits at a small kitchen table, staring at a stack of bills, while his young daughter sleeps on the couch nearby, clutching a worn teddy bear. You're watching this, heart already tightening, because you know this feeling, the weight of the world on your shoulders and no one to share it with. If you've ever felt stuck between providing for your family and chasing the life you dream of, this story is for you. Stick around until the end, because what happens next will hit you harder than you expect. And if it moves you even a little, hit that like button and subscribe for more real, emotional stories that remind us what courage really looks like. Let's dive in. His name was Alex Rivera. At 36, he was the kind of father who showed up every single day, even when showing up felt impossible. 3 years earlier, he had buried his wife, Maria, after a sudden illness that no amount of love or prayer could stop. In the aftermath, he became everything for their 6-year-old daughter, Sophia: cook, nurse, storyteller, protector. He worked the night shift as a maintenance supervisor at Horizon Tech, one of the largest tech conglomerates in the city. The pay was decent, the hours brutal, and the soul-crushing repetition left him wondering if this was all life had left to offer. Every morning, after dropping Sophia at school, Alex would drag himself home, sleep a few restless hours, then head back out for the evening shift. He fixed broken printers, mopped endless hallways, and quietly listened to the complaints of executives who never once looked him in the eye. But in the quiet moments between tasks, he wrote short stories scribbled on napkins, ideas for a novel about a man learning to live again after loss. Those pages were his only escape, his only rebellion against a life that felt smaller than the dreams he once shared with Maria. Across town, in a glass tower that touched the clouds, lived Elena Voss. Billionaire. CEO. Legend. At 41, she had built an empire from nothing, software that powered half the world's supply chains, investments in everything from renewable energy to space tech. Magazines called her ruthless. Employees called her brilliant. Friends, well, she didn't have many of those anymore. Her days blurred into board meetings, private jets, and the cold satisfaction of another zero added to her accounts. At night, she returned to a penthouse so vast it echoed. No children. No partner. Just the quiet hum of success that had slowly replaced everything human inside her. Their worlds collided on a rainy Thursday evening. Elena had demanded an emergency inspection of the building's systems after a minor outage disrupted an important call. Alex was the one who responded. Soaked from rushing across the campus, grease on his hands and exhaustion in his eyes, he fixed the issue in under 20 minutes. As he packed his tools, Elena watched him from the doorway, arms crossed. "You always this calm under pressure?" she asked, her voice sharp but curious. Alex looked up, surprised anyone in a suit was speaking to him. "Pressure's just another word for responsibility, ma'am. Got a little girl waiting for me at home. Can't afford to panic." Something in his tone, quiet dignity, unshakable love, stuck with her. Over the next few weeks, their paths crossed again and again. Elena began, accidentally, scheduling late meetings that required maintenance oversight. She'd linger, asking questions that felt less like interrogation and more like genuine interest. She learned about Sophia's love for drawing, about Maria's favorite lullabies, about the mountain of medical debt that still haunted Alex's nights. In return, Alex saw glimpses of the woman behind the empire, the way her shoulders tensed when discussing her estranged family, the rare softness in her eyes when she spoke of a childhood dream to travel the world with nothing but a backpack. One night, after a particularly long shift, Alex found himself in the executive lounge fixing a faulty coffee machine while Elena worked late. She was pacing, phone pressed to her ear, closing yet another deal worth more than Alex would earn in a lifetime. When she hung up, she turned to him with a half-smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You know, Alex, I admire your dedication. But don't you ever want more? Don't you ever want to quit this dead-end job and actually live?" He chuckled tiredly, wiping his hands on a rag. Every single day. But dreams don't pay for school supplies or rent. Sophia needs stability. I made a promise to Maria, to give our daughter the best life I can. Elena leaned against the table, her designer watch catching the light. What if I dared you? Right now. Quit. Walk out that door tonight and never come back. I bet you won't. People like you never do. Too responsible. Too scared. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Alex stared at her for a long moment. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. His heart hammered against his ribs. He thought of Sophia's smile that morning when he'd promised her pancakes for dinner. He thought of the half-finished manuscript hidden in his drawer. He thought of Maria's voice, whispering on her last night, *, don't just survive, mi amor. Live, *. He set the rag down slowly. Okay, he said quietly. I quit. Elena blinked, certain she'd misheard. What? I quit. Effective immediately. He pulled off his company badge and placed it on the table. Thank you for the dare, Ms. Voss. You were right, I've been scared. But not anymore. He turned and walked out, leaving Elena standing there, stunned. For the first time in years, the unshakable billionaire felt something crack inside her chest. She watched him disappear down the hallway, then walked to the window overlooking the city lights. Her reflection stared back, successful, powerful, utterly alone. Moments later, she started packing. Not her briefcase. Not for a business trip. She went to her penthouse and began emptying drawers. Designer clothes folded into suitcases. Important documents shoved into a leather bag. She cancelled her morning meetings with a single terse email. Her assistant thought she'd lost her mind. Elena didn't care. The next morning, Alex woke up in a panic. No job. No income. Sophia asked why he wasn't rushing out the door. He sat her down, explained as gently as he could that Daddy was going to try something new, writing stories, maybe starting a small repair business from home. Her eyes widened with worry, but when he promised they'd figure it out together, she hugged him tight. Like in your stories, Papa? Yeah, baby. Like in the stories. The first weeks were brutal. Bills piled up. The landlord left notices. Alex stayed up late applying for freelance gigs, pouring his heart into the novel that had waited years for him to finish. Rejections came fast and hard. Doubt crept in during the quiet hours when Sophia was asleep. Had he been reckless? Had he failed her the way he sometimes felt he'd failed Maria by not saving her? Meanwhile, Elena had vanished from the public eye. She had rented a modest cabin 2 hours outside the city, the kind of place with creaky floors and a view of the mountains. No staff. No security detail. Just her, a laptop, and the terrifying silence of having nothing but time. She didn't know why she'd done it. The dare had been a throwaway comment, a way to test him, maybe even to feel superior. But watching Alex walk away had forced her to confront the truth. She hadn't been challenging him. She had been challenging herself. And she had been losing for years. Their paths crossed again by pure chance, or maybe fate. Alex had taken Sophia to a small mountain town for a cheap weekend getaway, hoping fresh air would lift their spirits. They were at a local diner when Elena walked in, wearing jeans and a simple sweater, her hair in a messy ponytail. She looked human. She froze when she saw them. Alex stood up slowly. Sophia waved shyly. You really did it, Elena said, voice soft. I did. He gestured to the empty chair. Coffee? They talked for hours. Elena confessed how his courage had shattered something inside her, the illusion that money and power equaled fulfillment. She told him about her own father, a workaholic who died alone, and how she had sworn never to be like him only to become exactly that. Alex shared the nights he cried in the shower so Sophia wouldn't hear. The way Maria's last words still guided him. The fear that he was repeating the cycle of absence in a different way. "I packed because I couldn't stay," Elena admitted, tears glistening. "Not after seeing what real bravery looks like." What followed was a beautiful, messy friendship forged in shared vulnerability. Elena offered to help with Sophia's school expenses, not as charity, but as a partner in this new chapter. Alex refused at first, pride stinging, but eventually accepted when she explained it was for her own healing too. In return, he helped her reconnect with simple joys, cooking meals together, hiking trails where she laughed like a girl again, listening to her dreams of using her wealth for something meaningful instead of just more growth. Challenges came fast. Alex's novel faced more rejections. Sophia got sick, and medical bills threatened to bury them again. Elena struggled with withdrawal from her old life, investors calling, the itch for control. There were arguments. Alex accused her of trying to fix them like one of her companies. Elena admitted she was terrified of failing at being human. But through it all, they chose each other, not romantically at first, though the possibility hovered like a gentle promise, but as two broken people helping each other rebuild. One pivotal night, as snow fell outside the cabin where they had all gathered for the holidays, Alex finished reading the final chapter of his book aloud. Sophia clapped. Elena wiped her eyes. The story was about a man who learned that quitting wasn't giving up, it was choosing to start living. "You should publish it," Elena said. "I don't know if anyone will read it." "They will," she replied. "Because it's true." Months later, Alex's novel hit shelves. It wasn't an instant bestseller, but it found its audience, single parents, grieving widows, burned-out professionals. Letters poured in from people who felt seen. Elena, meanwhile, had restructured part of her company with a new foundation focused on supporting families in crisis, flexible work, education funds, mental health resources. She stepped down as CEO but stayed on as advisor, finally making time for the travel she'd always dreamed of. She took Alex and Sophia with her on the first trip, to the beach where Maria had always wanted to go. Standing on that shore, waves crashing, Sophia building sandcastles between them, Alex turned to Elena. "You dared me to quit. But you're the one who really changed everything." She smiled, the kind of smile that reached her eyes now. "We dared each other. That's the point. The story doesn't end with perfect happiness. Life still had bills and heartbreaks and tough days. But it had meaning. It had love, in all its imperfect, courageous forms." Alex learned that being a good father sometimes meant showing his daughter how to take the leap. Elena discovered that true power wasn't in controlling empires but in opening her heart. Sophia grew up knowing that family could be born from the most unexpected places. If you're watching this right now and you're in that kitchen with the bills and the tired eyes, remember Alex. Remember Elena. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is quit what's killing your soul and start building what feeds it. It won't be easy. It might scare you to death. But on the other side is a life that finally feels like yours. If this story touched you, if it reminded you that change is possible even when the odds feel impossible, please like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe, we've got more stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things coming your way. Drop a comment, what would you quit tomorrow if you had the courage? Let's talk about it. Because at the end of the day, we're all just one dare away from the life we were meant to live.